Here's what I tell people who suffer from anxiety, and I did it when I was a practicing therapist for many, many years back in New York, is that if I were to give you an assignment, I used to tell a patient of mine or a client of mine, if I were to give you an assignment to go out, and here's a bucket, and I'd go out and I'd like you to fill it with anxiety, and just come back, and then we'll look at this anxiety stuff, because they use words like I'm having an anxiety attack, as if anxiety is something that's out there and it attacks and it's going to come and get you. And the insightful part of that little exercise is that that anxiety is just an illusion. There's really no such thing as anxiety in the world. The only thing that there is there are people who are thinking anxious thoughts, or they're picking anxious thoughts. And once you have a recognition that anxiety isn't something that's out there any more than fear is out there, any more than depression is out there, and even sadness, and even the reverse, happiness, and so on, that these are there is in a novel that I wrote many years ago called Gifts from Icus, she says that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. It's like you have to bring peace to what it is that you do, because you can get anxiety from going out into your garden and picking all the weeds, and just saying, oh my God, these weeds are causing me to be so anxious. Or you can go to the garden and say, I bring peace to the garden, and I can enjoy all of this thing that we call weeding, and so I'm doing it either, it's like, it's this whole idea that we live, loving people, as I often say in my stationery, loving people live in a loving world, and hateful people live in a hateful world. It's the same world. We just get to decide. And your husband, once he gets that, and once he has an awareness that anxiety isn't something that comes from other people doing these things, it's like I said at the beginning of the show, there are so many people out there who are looking for occasions to be offended. And I see examples of it all the time, especially with the new social media and going on Facebook, and something will be posted on there, or I'll be wearing a certain thing, or there'll be maybe a little grammatical error or misspelling or something, and I'll see there's people that get offended, and they get all upset, and they write real nasty comments, and they really think that what I wore at my daughter's wedding is causing them to be upset, when in fact, what's causing them to be upset is internally, this is how they choose to process that kind of an event. And once you unchoose that, decide no longer to view things in a judgmental way, the whole world looks so different, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It would be like going to the doctor and telling him all of your symptoms, and the doctor says, oh boy, you've got a lot of symptoms. And he starts writing out prescriptions. You need a prescription for this symptom, you need a prescription for that symptom, and finally he gets this 4 or 5, and you go to walk out, and you say, well, I'd like my prescriptions. He said, no, I'll give this one to your mother-in-law, and I'll give this one to your neighbor, and I'll give this one to your daughter, and I'll give this one to your father. I mean, you're the one with the struggles and with the difficulties, and expecting somebody else to change or something outside of you to get better in order for you to make your life work at this level that I'm calling intention is something you have to really take a hard look at. It's in here.
Happiness is not something that you strive for, that you go after, that it is something that is always within you, and you can have it anytime, anything that you're doing. Not very many people get a hold of that. They think there are happy things to do and unhappy things to do. Happiness is available for you anytime you want it, whether you're cleaning out your closet, whether you're sitting on the can, whether you're changing your baby's diaper, whether you're working on a project that is exciting for you, whether you're going on a camping trip, whatever it is that you're doing, that happiness is something that's available to you.
It isn't the events, the things that take place outside of us that make us unhappy. It's what we do with them when we do find out about them. And we always have a choice. We always have a choice in how we're going to react. So we have a tendency to blame the things that we don't like for our anxiety or our stress or our unhappiness. But the fact is, if we didn't know about them, as I used to tell my kids when they'd come home and say, so-and-so said something bad about me, I said, if you didn't know about it, if you didn't hear about it, if no one had told, could you be upset? And they said, well, of course not, Dad. How could I be upset about something I didn't know about? I said, well, that's the whole point. It didn't cause you to be upset. You caused it. You caused it. No one can make you unhappy without your consent. And that's one of the great secrets of the universe.